Roll, is your camera on?
It is. Are you not seeing me?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's just my laptop. You're the only camera I'm not seeing. You're the only.
No, I can see you
Maybe.
fine.
You can see
Okay.
him? Okay. Probably it's just me.
Okay.
Came in out.
All right. Um, so good evening, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Thank you all for joining this week's vision session. We have jam-packed couple hours ahead of us, just to sort of level set and let you know what we have in store. Two of our very esteemed mentors, Michael and Sean, will be presenting in the first hour. There'll be sufficient time as well for Q&A. And then in the second hour, we have 8 to 10 founders approximately who will be sharing their 60-second pitches. And at that time, we'll invite our mentors to give not just verbal feedback, but Adana will share in the chat a link where we would like you to leave some documented feedback that will be registered in the platform so we can keep track of that. To kick things off, though, just some quick housekeeping matters. When I last look at how we're performing as a chapter, one, two, three, four. As of today and as of now, only 5 of you have completed the kickoff sprint. So I know sometimes at the start we get off to a rocky start, so we'll be cutting everyone some slack. But just bear in mind that the accelerator moves at a really rapid pace. It's called an accelerator for a reason. So when you fall behind on any given week, the workload really adds up, right? And then it becomes that much more difficult to catch up. So I strongly recommend that by this weekend you get your kickoff sprint deliverables out of the way, because come next week, Wednesday, your vision sprint will be due. Okay. So that aside, let's dive right into it. Michael, I'll start with you. I wouldn't do too much of an introduction because I know that's all part of your presentation as well. So founders, let's give it up for Michael.
Hey guys, thanks for having me, Rawl. I'm grateful to you, the FI Caribbean leadership, for giving me this opportunity, and to all of our guest mentors and founders alike for letting me share a little bit of my experiences, insights, and knowledge that through this presentation, I hope become useful to you in your advancement through this program and into your, of course, vision and mission. I see. Give me just 1 second to share this. I'm going to have some slides to organize this presentation. I believe that you're seeing those now. I'm going to switch to presenter mode. I just want to be able to see as many of your faces so that this is an engaging presentation. Remember, I don't do this for my own benefit. I really want it to be to yours. So I'm trying to make your faces as big on my screen so that as I'm talking, I can gauge whether this information is useful to you or if I can iterate it in a different way. And ultimately, like I said, serve those purposes. This will be about 10 minutes. And like I said, it'll be a little bit interactive. You can offer some insights, feedback, comments in the chat, but I'll also be asking you specifically to do so. So don't stray too far away or get distracted because I want you to get the most out of this. My name is Dr. Michael James Stablein. I'm an FI Caribbean mentor for this spring cohort. I'm a titled Strategic Business, Technical, and Real Estate Consultant working out of Chicago, Illinois. I'll explain a little bit more about that. But throughout the course of this presentation, our agenda today is for you to have an understanding of what this presentation is to achieve, an introduction to myself. We're going to talk a lot about vision and mission as you kick off this cohort and this accelerator program. We have to know where you're going, and we can't just be thinking about tomorrow or the day after. We have to be thinking down the road, because if you're going to have scalable impact for your initiative, then you really got to get somewhere. That's going to comprise some of the first slides. We're going to talk about specifically the elements of that strong vision, what mistakes you might want to avoid, and how we're going to communicate those through adaptive changes that you'll make through signals and metrics, given the market, given your peers, given the things that you'll see in this environment as a startup founder. Okay, so who am I? I'm, again, Dr. Michael James Stablein. I did my PhD in engineering from the University of Illinois. That's 2 hours south of Chicago, where I was born and raised. I was born to a Colombian mother, and thus I grew up speaking both English and Spanish in my household. I also went and did some of my graduate studies in Brazil, where I learned Portuguese, and I used those 3 languages in my ongoing consulting for different types of organizations. Like I said, I'm a strategic business, technical, and real estate consultant. I work with startups, I work with multinationals, SMEs, minority businesses, and nonprofits. Why is this all important? Because when I'm a scientist and an engineer, I work with those people who also have developed technology in a laboratory. What's the caveat of those people? A lot of scientists don't know corporate structures. They don't know how to do taxes. They don't know how to do accounting. So where do I come in? I like to think that I help those scientists in setting up those metrics for success and organizing their business as such. I've been doing this for years as a real estate professional, so that's why I'm well versed in these subjects. On the other hand, if you are a company that exists in one country and you want to pivot to another, well, you have to adapt to those market dynamics and constraints. Thus, I help, say, healthcare companies set up clinical trials and get those funded by the National Institute of Health through grant writing, a specialty of mine. So I do a lot of the science, research, and development for them. That's why I do business and technical consulting. And like I said, I'm a real estate professional by training, and I think that can help business models thrive and be more sustainable. So I couple all of these skills and the wealth of knowledge that I've garnered over years to facilitate the many needs of different business models and ventures around the world. My vision per the call for this presentation is to create a prosperous and sustainable future via globally oriented, community-driven solutions. That's very broad. That means that I can help anyone, anywhere in the world to make the world a better place. But given how broad that is, we need to be a little bit more grounded in what we're trying to achieve. So my mission is to build and customize systems for equitable food, energy, and water resources to serve community needs. I've done this throughout many projects in my graduate studies. I've done this for many companies in my full-time or part-time engagements with them. My dissertation in engineering was about using algae in wastewater for valuable biomass generation. I also worked in Puerto Rico to help them customize disaster relief solutions for rainwater harvesting, hydroponics, and solar panel installation at schools and community locations. So we try to do all these things, and we have to adapt to the many constraints of business. I'm here to help you navigate the circumstances of what you hope to impact the world by doing. Okay, so vision and mission, as I was describing, they're very different. Your vision is very big. You have dreams for your life, whether they're personal or professional. I want you to dream big. I want you to communicate those effectively, just like I did. Now, like I was telling one of my clients earlier, when we have a big vision that might take 10 years to realize, we need to break that down into smaller steps. Say if your vision is 10 years, your mission might be 1 year or 2 years. And think again, every month to month as you're pursuing that dream, you might have smaller objectives and tasks. I would say that you break those down into week by week and month by month goals and objectives that you need to complete. If you can organize all your goals on a timeline like that, you can probably be more successful because you're not just thinking about the short term, but the long term as well. So where do you distinguish these things? Well, I've created these slides on these boxes just to help organize those thoughts. I hope as I'm talking, you're thinking about your own business and you're saying, oh, I know what my vision is, and I know what I have to do tomorrow to be successful in that vision through this time-oriented mission. Where these intersect, as you see in the bottom box, is where you're going to succeed. Successful founders have that vision for improving a big idea, something. I'm going to encourage you to write those things down in the chat as we go further into this presentation. But your mission is going to be the specific service or product that has timely alignment. I write grants all the time. Maybe a funding agency, the government of the United States, the governments of Africa, the United Nations, they might want to fund something today that's relevant to the world, but they won't want to fund it in 20 years. So we have to be timely in both our long-term vision and what we're practically doing every day in our individual missions and objectives. Okay. Why are these things important? As I've been saying, it's really important that you have a strategy, and that a strategy can adapt. If you have a plan A for how your business is going to evolve over the coming months, years, and decades, then that's great. If you have a backup plan, that's even better, because then you know if plan A, your hypothesis there, speaking as a scientist, fails or doesn't come to total fruition, then you can pivot to plan B and perhaps plan C. You always want to be thinking about what could go right and what could go wrong. I'm going to talk a little bit more about pitfalls later, but remember, this is a strategic decision. If we just take the most obvious choice because it's the most convenient for today, we might be leaving something on the table that's not going to help us or make us more successful in the long run. So again, we want to engage all those stakeholders, teammates, customers, and investors, and pivot where necessary to get the best long-term outcomes. So my example prompt here is, if you stopped working tomorrow, what change would you want for the world? Would you want the world to remember your company for? Your idea today, as you positioned it or as you're going to offer it to the group, may not ultimately be the thing that you want to do, because you may be focused on wastewater treatment because you want to make water better. But in truth, you may want to get people more sustainable and cleaner sources of water to improve their lives. We're going to think about this a lot over the next course and through we're all in the FI Caribbean team's leadership. So let's think critically about what you're really trying to achieve, what that vision is. I offer this slide here from Google just so that you can put, again, these things for vision and mission into context, but we won't spend too much time here. Just remember, keep thinking about which each one is and what the short and long-term goals are. Okay, a strong vision is going to be very clear, and it's going to also be credible. It's going to be concise. It's going to be short, and is going to do all these things in an example, the second bullet I'm offering here. I'm going to offer you this opportunity as I'm talking, and we spend a little bit of time on this slide, to write down what you're trying to achieve using the model I've provided. Remember, I'm a scientist, so I use hypotheses to say, if I'm giving you this presentation today and I'm effective in my communication, how much more successful can you be along the course of this program? So go ahead and think about your idea, and you'll say, by today, by tomorrow, by next month, you will do something, and you will, given my example, provide people with cleaner, healthier water. This is all going to help you organize your approach and design, who you serve, what the changes, time horizon scale, and impact verb. And it's all going to be in one sweet, simple sentence. Okay, we don't have to get a whole business model. We don't have to do financial projections. Today, you just have to write one sentence to show that you're taking steps towards your vision. Okay, problems as you write down this sentence that can emerge. You could find that you don't know what any of those impactful key verbs or nouns are for your business plan. You could be too generic. You could find that you're ultimately selling the wrong product. There might be too much jargon, words that don't make sense to me, words that don't make sense to your customers, words that don't make sense to the wrong people. Well, we're going to think about that. That's why you're going to give it your best shot right now. And how are we going to always improve our business model, whether it's one sentence today or your financial projections and your long-term business strategy over for the future? You're going to ask people. We're going to ask each other. Go ahead and write things down. If you're confident with what you got, write it in the chat right now. Everyone else is going to be able to see it. Everyone else is going to be say, I don't understand that, or that doesn't seem like it makes sense on a timeline, or I'm not understanding what you're saying. We're going to improve through iterative feedback. I want to assure you that we're here for you, myself, the other mentors, the leadership. We want to instill that power in you by you offering us your ideas early on. Okay, I'm getting towards the end, I promise, because I want to make my presentation just as short and sweet as your one sentence business pitches might be. You're going to pitch this today, you're going to pitch this tomorrow, you're going to pitch this for the longevity of your business. And then you're going to break down all the long-term vision one sentence items with smaller points that are going to be your daily objectives and tasks, including the homework that Raul mentioned at the beginning. Be ready to pitch, be ready to offer this. But remember, what this is going to serve you. It's going to serve you in hiring. It's going to serve you in product roadmaps. It's going to serve you in grant writing. It's going to serve you in fundraising. Everything starts with this one sentence. I wanted to bring an example to the table that I thought resonated with me earlier in my entrepreneurship and consulting pathways, and it is this golden circle. What I thought to be a creative genius over at Apple said that at the center of everything that we do is why. Why am I trying to provide people with clean water? Because it gives everyone a better life. It gives them a longer life. It allows them to lead the best lives possible. My purpose is not to give them water. My purpose is why, to give them a better quality of life. So remember to think deeper into your mission and the one sentence that you're going to create, to remember why it is what we're doing, because naturally the outer circles will manifest. How do we do that? And what do we do to do that? I'm going to offer you a chance to ask me questions about this, but for brevity now, I just want you to remember at the center of your one sentence and all the descriptive words you're using is why. Naturally emerging is how and why. Okay. The best way for you to get feedback along this whole course, starting today with your one sentence, is to ask for feedback. That's going to be from your peers. That's going to be from your mentors. That's going to be from your customers. So user adoption, engagement, partnerships, revenue, every conversation you have is an opportunity to learn and get that feedback. Don't forget that, because it'll let you strategize what you want to talk to your audience, what you want to say to your audience when you're giving them your one-line pitch. This will manifest in several ways. Your revenue generation, your growth, your market, your customer interest, all of these things are going to tell you whether your idea is good or it might need some feedback and some refinement. Don't take it as negative criticism. Everyone here, specifically in this room, wants to see you succeed. So I want to affirm that. We want to see you succeed. You're going to get this feedback from us in a helpful way. You might get something that's not so nice in the real world, say from a partner, from a customer, from a government agency, but don't take that badly. Your spirit as an entrepreneur has to be, I'm pushing forward towards my mission by today's objective of refining my pitch. Okay? So I want to conclude what is important about my presentation by telling you that we're always getting feedback that allows us to adapt to the market and improve our mission, thus that we can enact our vision for the world. Okay, this is kind of the end of my presentation, right? I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what I see in mission and vision. I'm going to give you this opportunity now. If you haven't done so already, because I haven't seen the chat, go ahead and put down your best version of your one line, because it's going to be fodder for conversation throughout the rest of our time today together. There are some quick resources and templates that I want to offer to you. You can create your own vision and strategic timelines. I told my client this morning that he has to write what he's going to achieve this year before the end of 2026, what he's going to achieve next year in 2027, and what he thinks he's going to achieve in 2030 or 2035. We don't know that that's all going to be true, but if he has a plan A, plan B, then we can pivot from that and we can adapt to whatever the market is telling him. We're going to have a checklist. Did you do those things? Did you not do those things? I think you should also go to resources like those provided by Founders Institute, those from Capital Venture, Caribbean Venture Capital, and other resources that my peers here, other mentors in leadership might offer to you, because those will always be good things to help you write your one line, create your business plans, and ultimately get feedback. Just an opportunity for you. Let's connect and change this world. I'm here in this journey with you. So here are links to my mentor office hours. This is the link to my LinkedIn profile, and you're welcome to email me. I do this private type of consulting all the time, whether it's for grants or for orienting your mission. I invite you to connect with me should I be able to help you in your goals. That's the end of my presentation. I hope I wasn't too long-winded, but let this be the stage set for your success.
Thank you so very much, Michael. Great presentation. And so now we'll open up the floor. So founders, now is your time to pick Michael's brain. This is one of the great benefits of being part of FI. You get to interact with brilliant minds. So feel free to use the raise hand feature, and I'll call on you. Crickets. All right, Emmanuel, Yeah, feel free to unmute.
Can,
Then
can you
we'll
guys
go to
hear me?
Andre.
Can you hear me? You do?
Yes.
Okay, great. No problem. Thank you. All right. So, hello everyone. My name is Emmanuel Moradias. I'm from the Dominican Republic, and I'm building Turpin, which is in developing a demand intelligent layer for group travel to help independent tour guides and experience creators all across Dominican Republic to solve a problem that they're losing 20 to 30% of the revenue to local concierge while remaining invisible to almost millions of different tourists. Who visit the island each year with a platform that captures group travel intent during collaborative inventory planning that surface live demand to local providers as bookable inventory as 50% commission, which in the industry normality is 20 to 30, and replace the chaos of WhatsApp coordination with one unified ecosystem with no paperwork required, and we only get paid when the bookings are confirmed. That's my one line. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Emmanuel.
Ooh,
It's so
Ro,
nice to meet you.
that's fine. Ro, I think you're muted.
Sorry, Mike, sorry. I was just going to share, Emmanuel, that at this point, it's a Q&A based on Michael's presentation.
Oh,
We will have an opportunity to do the founder pitches
oh,
in the
Jesus. All right. Sorry, my bad.
second half. But that was a great pitch and a good
Sorry.
practice run. So I commend you on that. You will have another opportunity though to pitch. But do you have any questions for Mike based on his presentation?
Oh, yeah, no, it was pretty clear. Sorry, apologies for that, guy. I thought that was-
No worries. Andre, I see your hand is up.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Yeah, Andre Percival from Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, just my question for you, Michael. So one of the things that you looked at there in your presentation was a timeline. And I've seen, a lot of companies put vision statements out there and they're quite generic, whether it's Starbucks to provide the best coffee or, whether it's, to make an impact on climate change or some aspect of that. But why in the Founders Institute is it that you're recommending to put a timeline on a vision? Is there some reason for that?
Sure. I think it could be answered multiple ways, but the first thing that comes to my mind is that your products or your service are best suited in the market when they're timely. If you're the fourth or fifth Starbucks, you're probably not going to have as much impact on the world as if you are the first widely distributed and scalably marketed type of business like a Starbucks. You said Starbucks, so I'm trying to explain it in the same way. If you were the second type of that company to come around, you might not be as successful. I think we could agree on that. But let's put it more simply and in tune with today's dynamics. If you're an AI company, I think you would have to launch very quickly if you have a good idea, which by my imagination, for many reasons and in many fields, could be displaced tomorrow by the next iteration of that same AI idea. I do work a little bit in the field of patents because we try to patent all types of agricultural processes. These could easily displace businesses. I think that that's the second way to explain it. But thirdly, and my last justification for this is if you're not putting a timeline on your own success, then when are you going to keep yourself accountable to achieving that vision and mission? So if the timeliness isn't just for market suitability, I think you want to keep yourself accountable as a founder and accomplishing something. I promise you, I could have done my PhD for 20 years, but I was pretty tired of it after 5 years, and maybe it would have behooved me to put a timeline on myself at the very beginning of my program, such that it would have been even shorter than I would have liked it to have been. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense in that regard, because I think, products and services do come to market, and then sometimes as technology evolves and so on, like you said, it doesn't become as applicable if you don't, get into that niche while it's active and while it's live. And then the kind of concept of smart as well, smart goals and so on over a timeline really, hits the bell for me. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Andre. Giselle, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, Michael. Thank you once again for your presentation. What I wanted to ask, I'll jump right into it, is what are some common mistakes that founders usually make in communicating their vision, especially early on to founders?
Sure. So early on, right? Maybe we're leaning towards the ideation phase here.
Yeah.
And you have, I don't know, in my world, you have a food product, you have a beverage, let's just say. Do you want it to taste great? Do you want it to be healthy? Do you want it to identify with the palate of a certain demographic? If you're not considering those three as examples among many factors that can propel the success of your business, and its timeliness, then you might be doing yourself a disservice. And you might be missing out on some opportunities. So I was telling our friends here before everyone joined the call that I'm applying for some grants in Africa and plan for some grants in South America. And those grants are only available to us today. So we have to process those fruits to make those foods or those products sooner. And if we don't do it sooner, speaking to timeliness, we might miss out on the grant opportunities. And if we don't include those grants in our vision and our immediate missions, then we might not have the opportunity to provide nutrition and a tasty product to everyone. Again, just wrapping it full circle in the food and beverage context. So I would tell you, bottom line, to make sure we explore all opportunities such that we can serve the full purpose and range of people that we hope to help through our missions, or through our visions, excuse me.
Okay, thank you. I think I've also done a lot of work in the fundraising space for Caribbean nonprofits and stuff. So I think what happens is sometimes your product or your offering might be quite niche, but then the opportunities that you may see may be kind of leaning towards a different lens. And oftentimes I see persons shifting from the vision that or mission or the particular thing that they're doing in order to fit into a type of funding opportunity. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yes. So actually, I had a conversation about this morning, so I'll just offer it in context. I'm working with a Panamanian startup, and we're trying to clean water. But the truth is, to clean water, you need a large system, so you need a lot of infrastructure. Well, there might be grants for infrastructure, but not for cleaning water. So why don't we just lean into the fact that we're trying to build infrastructure that develops the country rather than dying on the hill that is the short-term mission of cleaning that water? So I think we should think very holistically about the business and make sure that we're not, again, leaving anything on the table, because especially in the Caribbean and Latin America, the funding opportunities might be few and far between. So let's be timely, and let's also be strategic and give every business every opportunity that it needs to succeed.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
My pleasure.
Wonderful. Thank you, Giselle. So we'll take one last question from Isabel, and then we'll move on to our second presenter for the evening. Isabel, would you like to unmute?
Here. Awesome. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. Well, hi, Michael. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So my question is this. How do you write a vision statement for a product that's creating a category that doesn't exist yet? Like when the market doesn't have the language for what you're building right now. So let me give you let me give you an example. So the app that I'm building, it's called Lyra, which is basically let's call it this way, like an AI co-pilot for musicians that it analyzes your unique playing style, like your musical DNA, if you will, right? And it mirrors that back to you. So it says like, okay, you are the musician that you are because you use specific harmonics, melodic, or rhythmic patterns. So it mirrors you, and it can also provide a roadmap to like where you sound as a musician and like where you want to sound at. So like it compares your sound to the musicians you're inspired by, and like it gives you that map there. So
Sure.
that
So
app that doesn't exist yet. So I'm like trying to like right because it's not a riff maker. If to say it's a kind of like a musical AI co-pilot doesn't quite get there, and also like style analyzer kind of misses like the emotional core of it. So that's my question.
okay. Well, I don't want to answer with fluff, nor do I want anyone's vision to sound like fluff. I advocate for making very grounded statements that resonate with many people because that's going to be part of your pitch. That's how you're going to get people excited about your idea naturally. If you feel that your idea is truly pioneering into new space, we might look to other pioneers, those that we identify with that have achieved something. I think if you look at the leading artists in the world and what they've done to improve the musical industry, we might find inspiration from them. I'm just going to think of two popular people right now. My wife loves Bad Bunny. I like some of Bad Bunny's music too, right? It's great. It definitely brings joy to my life, and I think that he engaged with a demographic that was underserved, and he did it in his own way. Perhaps your vision is to engage with those types of underserved parties, to put it one way, and you're offering them a service that does it in a unique way. Let's not undersell your business, because like I said, what I think you're doing can be innovative and it can be unique, but just remember to ground it in that which is very intrinsic to why people do anything. They want to be happier, they want to be better, they want to be fulfilled. So couldn't your idea be described that way? The other artist I was going to use is Taylor Swift because I can't seem to stop getting my sister, my mother, my wife, her sister, just to keep sing along with the jingles. I can't. So I lean into that because they all find joy from that. And even though I'm not as big a fan of her music as I am Bad Bunny, then I see the pathway, the vision, and perhaps even the shorter term mission that allows her to use this seemingly musical formula to create these pop, awesome songs that don't stop playing on the radio. Okay, so how do we equate this back to what you said specifically? Well, you're using an innovative idea or technology to create that type of value. So we may iteratively work through how you describe that in one sentence and what kind of timeline you want to put it on. But I think through what I'm saying, you might find more appropriate words to describe your idea that way. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, like grounded in reality, but also offer that like emotional connection to the customer. Is that it? Kind of.
Definitely. Because
Okay.
remember, you're pitching. You have to inspire those listening to you. So if your idea is making them feel good, affirm that. If your idea is unique, creative, and innovative, let them know it is and how you would demonstrate that to them. Because I think when you sell a vision, you want people to identify that within themselves with you. And that's ultimately what allows them to buy in, support you, or pay for your product or whatever. It's hard to do it in one sentence, but if you're going to dedicate your life to this, or at least a significant number of your next chapters, then it's worth putting in the time to ground and build something inspirational out of one sentence from the start.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
Hope that
Thank
helps.
you, Michael.
Wonderful.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Isabel, for the question. Kevin, is this question for Michael or?
Yes.
You
You're
Okay.
hearing me, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this is going to be the last
All right.
question before we move on. Okay.
All right, definitely. This is a critical stage in any startup, the vision statement. So I really needed to make sure I connect with Michael regarding this because this is very critical. This is the start. Can your vision statement can it change? I think you all were discussing that earlier. Can it change with time?
Sure.
Definitely.
I mean, I would think that your mission is more often changing than your vision because, as I told you, my goal is to create a more prosperous and sustainable future. It's hard for me to deviate from that because unless I'm going to start making the world a worse place, I
Yeah.
think anything I do, starting with brushing my teeth in the morning to getting on this call, is going to achieve that.
Okay.
Um, Now, your mission then will more aptly and specifically describe how you're going to make a more prosperous and sustainable world. So try to be grounded, but find a good balance between not being vague. It's to say altruistically inspiring your audience and pitching what it is that you embody as a founder. And then naturally, your mission will describe how you're doing that piecemeal wise, um, as you go through the motions every day, every month, every year to enacting that vision.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
Thank you,
You know, I
Kevin.
might just add, it just occurs to me that you can enact a vision, but you can't enact a mission so much as you can carry out a mission. So if that helps to think of it that way, right? You want to embody a vision, and you want to carry out a mission, and you can embody a vision and don't get lost in the words that I'm saying right now.
Yeah, I'm definitely understanding. Believe me, I kind of mixed it up and really clear on it. So the mission could change, but the vision is solid. You really need to understand your vision, make sure you understand your vision, but your mission could change. The vision is the core. All right, thanks so much.
My
Thank you,
pleasure.
Kevin. All right. So before we move on to Sean from IdeaFire, our second presenter for the evening, I just want to acknowledge our other mentors with us this evening, Maria, Ainharan, and Eliza, who is off camera. So this evening we have quite a few mentors to provide collective feedback as we move into the second hour where founders will have an opportunity to practice their pitches. So Sean, the floor is yours now. You're on mute, buddy.
Sorry about that. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Very happy to be here. Let me share my screen with you guys. All right, let me know when you can see the title slide. Yes? Good?
Yes, seeing it now.
Wonderful. Okay. So, appreciate the intro role and awesome presentation by Michael. I'm going to reiterate some of the things Michael mentioned, especially the why, the timing, and things like that. But I'm also going to drill down on some things that I really want to emphasize. One of which being the human and speaking to humans, not sounding robotic in your mission and vision. So let's kick this off. 1 second, let me just arrange my windows here. So if at any point, if my audio goes out, stop, sharing for whatever reason, just pop in the chat. We can't see you, hear you, your screen, etc. Just want to make sure everyone has a good experience here. So before we dive in, a little bit about me. I am a super geek. And I mean that in every sense of the word. Started building computers when I was 11 with my dad. Not long after, started building websites. Have been in tech and marketing for over 20 years, worked in the corporate world for a decade doing sales and marketing. Started my company in 2014, which was the same year Google acquired DeepMind. And that's when I got really interested in machine learning and artificial intelligence. So way, way before ChatGPT. I am a speaker, I'm a trainer, I'm a creator. I run a digital marketing and AI consulting firm. A lot of what I do is training, especially these days. And most of the types of clients I work with are startups, mostly tech focused, some nonprofits, and global enterprises. But in general, very diverse portfolio of clients, and that's exactly how I like it. Some of them you may know are IMF, Volvo, and Endocrine Society. Um, I am based right outside Washington, D.C. in Bethesda, Maryland, for those of you that know the DMV area. I've also been involved with Founder Institute for a decade. I've been with the Washington, D.C. cohort for about 10 years. Started working with the Chula University Innovation Hub a year ago, and am now working with the FI Caribbean, which I'm very excited to be a part of. So enough about me. Let's kick this off, shall we? So I want to talk about mission and vision as two different elements that complement each other. You can't have one without the other. So I'm going to go through what they are and then what a strong vision is and what a strong mission is. And there's certain elements here that I'm going to highlight and dive into because they're really important, right? So 10 years with Founder Institute is, two cohorts a year, 20-ish cohorts plus the others. I also work with Startup Grind, Founder Vine, and some others. So over 25 cohorts I've been a part of. And it's just as much as I try to impart knowledge, learning skills, failures, pitfalls, and successes, I also learn from you guys in every single cohort. So when I ask you certain questions, it's sometimes to get you thinking a certain way of this, so the Socratic method of teaching, asking questions, but it's also to get insight back because the tech world, the AI world where I operate, changes on a daily basis, right? So it is a constant loop of learning, right? Me learning from you, you learning from me, and that continues on. So that's one of the many reasons I stay involved in Founder Institute. So let's talk about vision. You can think of the vision as your where. Where are you going, right? So what is your destination? What is the compelling picture of your $100 million or billion-dollar, enterprise? And what does the world look like after you've solved your problem or at least alleviated that problem, right? And I want to make something clear. A lot of founders, especially early stage founders like yourselves, have a tendency to fall in love with their solution or their product. And at the end of the day, what you need to do to be successful is become obsessive and obsessed with the problem you're solving, right? Look at pain points, look at bottlenecks, look at complexities, and how you can alleviate, mitigate, or remove those from your end user, client, partner, customer, right? So you may think you have the best solution in the world, but you really have to look at the problem it solves because people are not necessarily buying your product, they're buying what their life looks like after they have your product or what their lifestyle feels like after they have your product or your service, right? So optics are important, messaging is important. Throughout this course and program, you will learn to articulate your value proposition very clearly because that is one of the most important things you will learn as a founder. If you can't articulate and explain what you're doing, building, creating in literally one or two sentences, it's going to cause problems, right? Now, this is a skill. This is a skill you will hone over this program, and it is not easy to do, especially I can't remember who, Isabel. Isabel has a brand, maybe she's in a very niche area, right? Maybe there's not a lot of examples of how she can articulate what she's doing or pitch it, right? But this is something you'll learn to do, and that's why we do these pitches, we give you feedback, etc. Right? So that's your vision, okay? And then your mission is your fundamental purpose, right? It's your why. Why did you start your company? Why are you building this product, this platform, this service, right? And oftentimes your mission can be very powerful and compelling when you build a narrative around it, right? So if you're a biotech or life sciences or medical company, right? And you have an uncle or an aunt or a loved one that has a rare disease or rare ailment, and you want to solve that, and you're a biologist or bioengineer, and you figure out a way to, minimize people having that disease or ailment. That's a very personal story, and that should be built into your narrative around your brand, right? Because humans connect to humans, right? So If you're able to build a narrative around your startup and your brand and tell it effectively and consistently across channels, that is the recipe for success, right? So I want to drill into something else here. So again, your mission is your fundamental purpose. It's the problem you solve right now, grounded in everything you've learned from your customers and users. Okay. So let me be clear. If you guys are not already thinking about customers, clients, partners, beta testers to talk to get feedback on your product, your service, your platform, start doing that now. Because a lot of founders, what they do is they build a product for themselves, right? Or a very small group. So they create something that they think is, incredible. It solves a problem. People will like it, but they don't do enough due diligence. They don't do surveys. They don't do focus groups. They don't ask people in person at events, hey, I'm building this thing. It solves this problem. There's nothing else like it. Is it something you'd be interested in, right? Or I know you've been using our platform for a few weeks now. What do you think? Give it to me straight. What do you like? What do you hate, right? So learned from your customers and users, you should always be listening, right? Actively listening to your customers, users, people in your network, mentors, your peers, right? Because that feedback is absolutely critical. Okay. So always be listening, always be looking for feedback to improve your product. That will never change, right? In 5 years from now, you should still be listening to ways you can improve your product, whether it's functionality, features, or other elements. Maybe it's pricing, right? But you always have to be listening. And there's lots of ways to set up mechanisms to do that, right? We're not going to get into that today, maybe in another session, but always be listening, right? Okay, so let's move forward. So what is in a strong vision? Okay, now remember, guys, your mission and your vision are not just for your customers. They are for potential hires. They are for investors. So if people don't hear your mission and vision and say, wow, that sounds exciting or compelling or interesting, I want to get involved, right? Then your mission and vision are not ambitious enough, and they're not resonating with the people they need to resonate with, right? As a startup, if you're trying to recruit someone who's been in the corporate world for a decade or for several years, it's probably risky to them to join a startup, right? So you have to empathize and understand that. So you need a really strong mission and vision to say, hey, Jessica or James or Jerry, here's what we're building. Here's my vision. I want to bring you on board. I want you to share my vision, right? That person has to be invested in what you plan to create and how you plan to get there, right? So remember, mission and vision, not just for customers, also for partners, investors, co-founders, and hires, right? So very important to keep that in mind. So again, your vision is your $100 million headline. You have to make it clear, compelling, and ambitious, right? So going back to what Michael said, it's got to be simple, right? Later in my presentation, I'm going to talk about what I call the caveman test, right? I didn't come up with it, but it makes a lot of sense, right? Or some people call it the grandma test. If you can't explain your product, platform, or service to a caveman or your grandma and have them understand it, you failed, right? So this is what I talk about when articulating your value proposition, basically why I should care or keep listening, right? This is really important with investors, right? Investors don't want to hear, especially these days, it's an AI powered this or AI driven this or AI enabled this. No, okay? They've heard a million pitches of AI things, right? What is the problem it solves? What is the feeling the person gets, right? So think about it that way, right? I can tell you right now, I work with a lot of investors, private equity and family offices. They are sick of hearing it's AI this, it's AI that, it's AI enabled, right? You have to convince them that AI is actually a critical piece, right, of your platform or product or service, right? But there's other things going on, right? So remember that. So again, it has to be ambitious, right? It should sound a little bit intimidating, even to you. You're a founder. Not everyone is built for entrepreneurship, right? And you will find that out during this program. I promise you, right? And you'll find out why certain people are entrepreneurs and other people are not, right? You have to have a bold, driven mentality, right? You have to have an ambitious mentality. So your mission and your vision should reflect that, right? Like I said, should be so clear, a new hire or investor gets it in one sentence, right? So compelling that they want to say, yes, I'm on board. I quit my day job. I'm all yours, right? All right, so let's talk about what's in a strong mission, okay? So I'm going to drill into a few elements here too, okay? So it starts with your customer's problem, not with your product solution, right? So when you're doing market research, you're doing due diligence, look at the problem, look at, review sites of similar software or products or services. See what people are complaining about, right? Again, become obsessed with the problem, not your solution, okay? And then work backwards. Trust me, it works very well. Okay. And then powerful vision is built on a deep, valid understanding of a pain or a pain point that someone has, right? And you want to be identifying those pain points constantly, looking for ways to improve your product, your platform, or your service, right? And so, again, this is where market research and interviews come into play, right? Humans have to talk to other humans. You, as the co-founder, should talk to people who are in the tech world or the medical world or the travel industry and hospitality industry and say, hey, I'm building an application or platform that I think you'd find interesting. I would love your raw feedback. People will tell you straight up, right? They'll tell you, well, I don't like the UI, or I don't like, the way this works, or how do I do this, or the pricing seems expensive, right? That's all stuff you should be internalizing, right? Now, you're not going to change your entire product roadmap based on one person's feedback, but if you start to look for patterns and things that you continuously hear, like the pricing's too high, or I'm surprised it doesn't have this feature, if you keep hearing that, you've got to build that into your product roadmap, right? That is absolutely critical. So again, constantly using your customers, your beta testers, your partners to fuel updates to functionality, features, and things like that, right? So these are some of the things that should be incorporated into your mission, right? Now, like we said, mission and vision go hand in hand, right? And this is critical, right? And I'll use the analogy of AI, right? Everyone knows what hallucination is. A vision without a plan. This also goes back to what Michael said. You have to be timely, right? Whether it's go to market, whether it's launching a new product, whether you have competitors ready to launch something big, right? You've got to you have to remind yourself you're on the clock, right? Now, quality over quantity all the time, right? But be timely, get to market, right? So again, a vision without a plan is simply just a hallucination. So that's why you have milestones, right? What are your first 5 steps? So your 100 million or billion-dollar vision becomes real only when you connect it to what you're doing this week. And one reason Founder Institute is such an effective accelerator is you have deliverables every single week. The expectations are high, right? There's a lot of work, but it prepares you for running a business, right? Every week focuses on something different. You know what the deliverables are, you know what you're focusing on. So in that way, it's very structured. You know what you have to do that week, right? But you can also create your own milestones. So secure first 100 users, hire a key engineer, right? So again, put actionable milestones and goals in with your vision, right? You have to connect it to that. Only got a few more slides here, and then we can do some questions. Again, it should be a magnet, right? Your mission and vision should be a magnet. So if you tell someone about your company and what you plan to create, they should be like, wow, that sounds pretty awesome or interesting or exciting. I either want to join, I want to buy it, or I want to invest in it, right? So all of this other noise out there, your mission and vision should cut through that. It should be simple. It should be clear. It should be ambitious, right? It shouldn't be, we want to create something cool and sell a bunch of stuff, right? Like nobody creates that as their mission and vision, right? But it's got to be very, very clear immediately to anyone, the caveman and the grandma, right? Remember the caveman and the grandma test. So it is also your most important recruiting tools. Again, if you want to hire top tier talent, you have to not only pay them well, right? Or give them equity in some cases, you have to genuinely get them invested in your vision for the company and your mission for the company, right? So that they're excited to work for you and be part of new and maybe quit their day job that is secure, reliable, right? That they've been in for 10 years. So that's really, really important, okay? And then attracting the right people, right? Like I said, co-founders, employees, investors. Also, this needs to be very succinct, okay? And so I'll give you one example here. And I want to point out the human element here. Now, you probably can't read this, so let me see if I can zoom in. So this is sandals, right? Born in the Caribbean, still exists in the Caribbean. And this is what I want to point out here. Okay. So if you look down here, it says from the most romantic couples only getaways to fun filled vacations for the whole family, our family of all inclusive resorts share the same vision, an unwavering commitment to excellence and a promise to exceed expectations. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but this is what really matters. Okay. Look what they say right below it. It starts with our people, right? The human element. Okay. So highlight your people, make your customers, partners, investors understand you value your people, your hires, your co-founder, your customers, right? Put them at the center of everything. Maybe build a community where they can help each other, right? And from time to time, you share resources, tips, tactics, early release features, things like that. Okay. And I want to drill into this just a bit more. So you can use AI for a lot of different things, right? I am the biggest AI advocate you will ever meet. Okay. It's my wheelhouse. It's what I do. I consult enterprise and startups on it. And I have been since 2019, right? Way before ChatGPT. I will tell you right now, do not use AI to create your mission and vision statement. This is something that must be raw and organic and come from your heart and your mind. It has to embody who you are as a founder, as an entrepreneur, and it must be in your own words. Now, if you have a rough draft or a sentence or two and you're really stuck, maybe you're like Isabel, who's operating in a very unique sector or industry, or it's just a very niche product, then you can say, hey, I'm trying to articulate, my mission statement or vision statement. Here's what I have so far. Help me come up with some other ideas. Then that's fine. As long as you do not take that output from ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Claude, or anything else, and just use it on your website or in marketing or your pitch deck. Why is that? Because it's not genuine. It's inorganic. It's artificial, right? Your vision and mission must come from your heart and your brain together, right? So I will help you guys all day use AI to do incredible things with marketing, sales, advertising, analysis, but this is one thing that must be organic and human made, right? So keep that in mind. Yes, you can use AI to help, but the end product must be in your own words as a human, right? Okay. So enough preaching from me. Here's a few key takeaways, and then I will shut up and I will be happy to take some questions. So again, to reiterate, the vision is your where, the mission is your why, right? Your vision is the $100 million or $1 billion destination. It is the ambitious future, right? Your mission is the problem you're solving right now, right? It is the purpose. You need both to survive, okay? Your mission vision has to be a magnet. Great products don't build companies. Humans build companies, right? So that's why I say highlight your people, your team, their creativity, their imagination, their technical skills, right? Use your mission vision to recruit the right co-founders, employees, and investors who believe in your why. Why are you building this? Why did you, create this? Why are you spending so much time on this, right? If you can't answer that question clearly with a compelling answer, then it's going to be difficult to get people on board, right? And then again, like I said, the caveman test. Clarity beats cleverness. So if a stranger, grandma, caveman, or 10-year-old can't understand the problem you're trying to solve in 5 minutes or 5 seconds or a sentence or two, you're losing customers, right? So like I said before, don't sell AI ecosystems, AI driven, AI enabled, AI powered, AI, this or that. Sell the pain you're fixing, right? It's great that you're using AI, you're integrating it, various technologies in different ways, but at the end of the day, sell the pain. What are you alleviating? What are you fixing? What's the bottleneck you're removing, right? So hopefully that helped and put some things in perspective for you guys. And I am happy to take some questions. Also, if you want to scan this, this is my digital business card, connect with me, very easy to find on the interwebs. And I would love to connect with each of you that I haven't already on LinkedIn as well.
Thank you so very much, Sean. Such an engaging presentation. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My
All right.
pleasure.
Let's open up the floor for Q&A.
Don't be shy, guys.
Use the raise hand feature. Although I can't see. Sean, would you like to stop sharing maybe?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
There we go.
right, okay. All right, I see Goodman has his hand up. Goodman, go ahead. You can unmute.
Hey everyone. Yeah, so got a question. With the vision and mission, like I guess for your website that you're building, should that be like kind of weaving in throughout your website? So like when your potential clientele visits, they're able to kind of understand, like kind of like how you gave the example with sandals, but I guess you know, should I be front and center on the homepage or should I be in the about us section? Like how in green should it actually be?
Yeah, very good question. So most commonly it is on your about or about us page. Now, some companies, depending what sector industry you're operating in, it may be on your homepage, right? It's very important for all you guys to understand there is no like template or blueprint or requirements for where you put your vision and mission or how many words or characters it has. You are the arbiter of your future and your destiny. It is your business. It is your company, right? You're building it. So, people can tell you, it's got to be a paragraph. It's got to, be here. It's got to be there. But at the end of the day, you decide what your vision is, what your mission is, and where it should go, right? But I can tell you, most commonly, looking across industries, it is integrated into the About Us page, right? And that was Sandals About Us page, right? So if it's anywhere, it has to be on your About page or About Us page. But there's plenty of ways to weave it into like the footer navigation, or I think on my company website I have like a box that says "Why work with us," right? And that has like a variation of my mission, right? And the vision for my company that I've had, for 12 years now, right? So, first and foremost, it should be most likely on your about page, but you can also weave it into, small little boxes, in the footer navigation or on your contact page just to like reinforce what you're trying to do, right? Especially if you're a very people-facing business or you have an emotional product that people get emotional about, like skincare or medicine or life sciences or cosmetics, and trust and credibility are paramount, then you may want to reinforce it, more often. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
Oh, it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Goodman, for the question. Andre, you're on mute.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi Sean. So just a question around, specifically with the product kind of we're developing. It's an AI-driven tool geared towards combating climate change. The mission really for us is a lot about greenhouse gas emissions tracking, and the pain point a lot of the time for us is we really want to help companies track their journey towards net zero, right? And we find a lot of people using outdated spreadsheets and all sorts of different factors, and it's a very complex thing. So, ours is really focused on that. But the question I really have for you is around the AI, right? There's things like AI chatbots, there's things like AI agents. How in depth, even, probably with the mission and vision, and even outside of that, do we go in the pitch in terms of the level of detail with AI?
Yeah, great question. So, what I tell most founders is, think about your product and what it is without AI, right? And be able to articulate the value proposition of your product or service or platform without AI, right? Like you're, helping companies understand their carbon footprint, trying to get to net zero, right? AI just helps analyze data points, metrics, atmosphere, ozone, things like that. So, while it's important to mention you're using AI because that is a very compelling technology and can, be very effective, especially if you're doing, climate modeling or helping companies reduce their carbon footprint. But just don't make it front and center, right? You want to start with the problem you're solving, which is helping companies understand their carbon, impact. And you can say something like, we use AI to do X, Y, and Z, right? But just make sure that it's very clear why you're using AI and how AI is augmenting what you would be doing if AI didn't exist, right? So in your case, again, I haven't studied your company, but lots of spreadsheets, lots of numbers, thousands of rows, tabs, etc. It's taking a ton of data and pulling insights out in seconds, right? And then you can make decisions, whether it's building, construction, permitting, on that data, whereas doing that manually is just a non-starter, right? So I would just say, Andre, focus on the product and the problem. You're right. Remember what I said. Become obsessed with the problem, right? And mention AI, you're using AI to do X, Y, and Z. Just make sure it's very clear how and why you're using it. Don't make AI the star of the show, right? Your expertise, your ability to execute your vision is the star of the show, right? I've identified this problem. I'm building a rock star team. We've identified, this solution, and we're using AI to help us get there, right? Or get data faster to help companies make better decisions. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, that was great, Sean. That was a really good tip. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Awesome. Jean, want to go next?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I wanted to ask Sean about you mentioned the caveman example for maybe pitching to future customer leads, maybe family and friends. So I wanted to know, like, how can I include like the metrics, information about the market that I see that could be a potential number or reason that could make my idea or my business possible to help companies. So like let's say I'm on an event where I'm trying to network with other people and try to um, get their feedback or try to convince them to work with me for my idea and hear about their pain points. So how would you say that you will create your pitch, your mission, and your vision and introduce yourself in a really short window where other people are talking and there could be noise?
Yeah, great question. The simple answer is practice, right? The second answer is know your audience, right? So your pitch, everyone talks about 30-second pitch, elevator pitch. This is true, right? You don't know who you're going to be in the elevator with after that event ends, waiting for your Uber outside, right? The guy could be wearing a t-shirt and jeans, or a woman could be wearing, a t-shirt and jeans, but they're actually an ex-Google employee and now they have a fund and they're there to look for companies to invest in, right? So don't always, think you know who the investors are based on appearance. They come in all shapes and sizes, right? But if you're in the elevator with that guy and someone says, "Hey, he's an investor," be ready to pitch that person in literally 30 seconds, right? But understand your audience. So if you're like, at a family dinner and your, wealthy uncle is there, right? Or you have family members, they know who you are. So you don't need to like build up the narrative of, how you got here. And like, they already know who you are. They grew up with you probably for the most part. But knowing your audience and knowing how to kind of pivot or adapt your pitch a little bit can be very effective, right? So if you're at a networking event, that's like a tech panel discussion or a pitch competition, those people are probably technical, right? So you can speak in somewhat technical terms, but by default, you want to default to the caveman or grandma test, right? So one way that I've found over, the 10 years plus I've been working with startups is use an analogy, right? Our startup is like the Airbnb of this, or it's like the Postmates of this, or the Eventbrite of this, right? Using like a ubiquitous company everyone in the world knows of, it's a household name, and creating an analogy to that company, but indicating what the difference is pretty effective because people are like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Especially if you're in a unique sector or industry. If you can say, our app is like the, Lyft of, hospitality, or Uber of, luxury jewelry, creation, or something like that, right? But oftentimes using an analogy is a great way to make that connection to whoever the listener is, an investor, a partner, a co-founder, potentially a wealthy uncle, right? So if you can look for analogies, and there's different ways to use AI to do this, but oftentimes, like if you can't figure out a way to articulate, what you're doing, use an analogy or incorporate an analogy into the explanation, because for a lot of people, they just need to hear it's the this of that, and they're like, oh, okay, I get it. That makes sense. Sounds like a good idea, and then they continue listening, right?
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Jean.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for Sean before we transition to the hot seat segment? Romario, I saw you just joined. Good to see you.
Yeah, sorry for the late join. For some reason, my phone app is saying May 20, but anyways, happy to be here.
No worries. All right, okay. If there aren't any other questions, what I'd like to first do is for the mentors on the call. So Michael, Sean, Maria, Ainharan, Eliza, if you're still there with us, if you could just check the fi.co/hot seat link just to ensure that you have access to it. So what we'd like to do ideally is we have about 6 founders on the call who will be doing a 1-minute pitch. Any one of you are, welcome to give verbal feedback, but ideally I would like all of you to at least give feedback via the platform link. If you prefer just to take notes and give the platform feedback post call, that's fine as well. But as long as you do, because then tracking it in the system is the way we sort of keep tabs on everybody's progression throughout the code. All right, so let's kick things off. Brian, are you here with us? Yeah, I see you.
Yes,
All right,
I'm
hang on.
here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, let me just
Awesome.
spotlight you as well. All right.
Okay.
So you're on the clock, Brian.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. So most places ask you to change how you travel to help the world. Bring your own bags, skip the AC, offset your flight. Runhall is an ecosystem of stays, farms, and clean energy. And we are planting the first roots in Guanacaste, Costa Rica, where your vacation does the work. Your stay powers a neighbor's home through biogas, and your breakfast comes from trees 50 meters away. And if you want to go deeper, you're welcome. Come pick your own avocado and papaya for breakfast. Learn how to milk the cow and watch how we turn cow manure into the electricity lighting your room. Costa Rica's tourism generates $4 billion in a year and barely enriches the communities that make it worth visiting. Rahal is the proof this can work. And if you believe business should work this way, we want you to build it with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. Short and sweet, like we like it. So I'll open the floor. Mentors, feel free to unmute. You could jump right in. And as I mentioned, just be sure to share your feedback as well via the hot seat link.
I'm
I
happy to
have a
start.
question.
Oh, go ahead.
Hi, Brian. Great pitch. Very nice to
Hi.
hear what you had to say. Are you based in Costa Rica?
Yes, I'm from Costa Rica. Pura vida.
I love Guanacaste. It's beautiful. Okay, my
Nice.
question is this. Is this one specific location, or are you talking about multiple locations, multiple geographies? Can you tell me? Because I didn't quite catch that from what
Yes.
you said.
So right now, right now I have the first land for the project. It is 5,000 square meters. So this is gonna be like the first place to develop the project. But in order to make it fast and profitable, we need to expand that in all Guanacaste. So it's gonna be 5 or 6 like first projections for places. And that way we will be able to help more communities develop bigger, develop easier, and bring that not only to Guanacaste, but the rest of the country as well.
Okay, I think that's really important to mention that your idea is this is your pilot, but yet you have a
Yeah.
geographic rollout.
Okay.
Because that makes it much more interesting to
Mhm.
talk about that as well. But I
Awesome.
love what you're talking about. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Sean, you had some feedback?
Yeah, I liked it too. One thing I would say is, for businesses like yours, Brian, I would try to end with like one powerful statement that kind of sums up your business, right? So I was thinking to myself, like, it's the ultimate foodie experience that also helps sustain the local community, right? Something like that. So you bring everything you just said, which you were, very articulate about. But it's for foodies who people like food. It's for people who, are interested in sustainability, who want to help the local, community. Your food is coming from the farm you can see from your table. Like that cow over there, is your meal, right? But to like, again, I come from the marketing world, right? Where the call to action is critical. So leaving someone with like a final statement that kind of encapsulates everything you just told them. Well, now this is not easy to do, right? Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it's a very effective way to end a pitch, especially that's targeted like a specific group of people that are, foodies. They like food and they're interested in sustainability. They like traveling. These people congregate together, right? So it wouldn't be, if you can put those together in like one statement, that would be powerful, right? Because then remember, guys, everyone who pitches, the last thing you say is the thing the person remembers most. And so that's why this is an effective tactic, right? So you don't have to do this, but it can be effective to just encapsulate everything into like one sentence. Like, this is what we do. Here's who we appeal to. If you're like this, we're for you. Something like that. But yeah, great job, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Any other feedback before we move on? Mike, I saw you on mute.
Yeah, Brian, I liked what you said. Truly, from the moment you started, I felt like I was resonating with your vision for your project, and it made me happy. It made me want to believe in what you were saying and identify with your success. So that's something that you did well.
Thank you.
Maybe to Sean's point, and I liked his presentation. It made me ask to the effect of what I was saying. When is this happening? Or you want to tailor your pitch. You decided to say it that way to this audience, but I know you'll be conscious of how you choose different words or what extra information you include when you might address somebody else. And so if you're planning to do this now, you sound like you're constrained by maybe one resource at this time to enact your full vision. So, saying those things to an investor gets them on the same page with you in that sense, where I'm eager to be a customer of yours because I liked what you said, and I like agritourism. So this makes a whole bunch of sense. Nice job.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Wonderful. Any other feedback from our mentors? Ainharan, Eliza? All right.
Maybe I just
go
want to
ahead.
quickly, just quickly want to say. So first of all, Brian, this is one of the best pitch I heard at the early stage of any of the cohorts so far. So it's pretty good. But I just wanted to tell you, because since you're touching on a little bit of a different industry like food and energy and tourism, travel, I would suggest add why you as well. I don't know whether you went touch that part, but it's very important because we just wanted to know why you will be special to do this one, and especially at this stage. So I would suggest you just touch base on that. So that's my feedback for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, Ainharan. All right. So thank you again, Brian. Let me just remove you from the spotlight. Okay. I don't think that was it. All right. Up next, Davia. Davia, if you aren't able to put on your camera this evening, then you won't be able to pitch. So just unmute and let me know if you're able to put on your camera. Okay, so we'll jump.
Well, she said she will switch devices. So probably we could take on after.
All right. Okay, so we'll circle back to her. No problem. France, are you in an environment where you're able to pitch? I'm seeing you. Can you unmute? France, are you hearing me? France is in the northern part of Haiti. So Wi-Fi is a challenge there. So I'm working with one of our ESOs in Haiti to provide them with some co-working space. France, I'm seeing you, but I'm not too sure if you can hear me. If you can unmute, if you're willing to pitch. All right, okay. I'll circle back to you. So you can drop a message in the chat if you are able to, okay? Goodman. Okay, yeah. Yeah, let me spotlight you. Hang on. Wait a sec. All right, buddy. You got 60 seconds. Let's go.
Real estate developers across the Caribbean and Latin America are losing deals not because their projects are bad, but because their financial analysis does not meet what lenders need to say yes. BRICS Advisory closes that gap by delivering credit committee level deal intelligence before developers commit capital or approach a bank. Our primary product is a deal intelligence report at US 3,000 per engagement with larger underwriting mandate scoped on engagement. And I'm uniquely positioned to build this. I spent nearly decades in banking, including 7+ years in the credit committee room where deals were approved or declined. BRICS Advisory is built on that pattern recognition, and no consultant or generic report can replicate what you learn from being on the other side of the table. If you know a developer who is about to go to a lender, I want in on that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Goodman. Michael, I saw you on mute, so you could dive in.
I feel compelled to jump right in, right? Working in real estate. So I really like that you appeal to a broad group of people. I mean, it's a huge area. You clearly identified the problem and you present yourself as someone who's confident in the skills that they've acquired over a specific amount of time to serve this niche market. So kudos on telling us exactly what you do and how important it is. I am genuinely intrigued to know if you want to service a specific demographic or a specific market because they fail to achieve success in this light, or for example, I take an interest in real estate in the Caribbean because I think there's a need for sustainable disaster resilient structures. If we're talking about the residential scale, it's piecemeal customer one by one, but if you do these kind of larger developments, maybe you're unlocking something that's much more broadly underserved. I think you had a great pitch, and obviously it's provoked more questions from me. So maybe that helps you to refine who you ultimately sell to. But I just want to tell you that I think you're on the right path for something that definitely has a need.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Any one of our mentors would like to jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something because I'm also in construction, something related to real estate. But before that, I really wanted to like it's a really, really good pitch. Actually, it took about 3 to 4 months to come to a pitch like that, what you did in your, I mean, early stage. Really kudos for that. And then also like, you really nicely articulated, you just like set the problem and then you said what you're offering. And also you said why you, like, your experiences. It's really good. So I don't really have any like, feedback to give. But all I would say is improve it, keep on practice, and keep it up. So you are already doing really good.
Thank you. Thank you. Sean, I saw you on mute. Any feedback?
Yes. Yes, I thought it was a great pitch too. I am guessing that you are using AI for some analysis or underwriting or credit analysis. Is that true?
You're on mute, Goodman.
Yeah. So AI isn't the product, it's in the background and it helps structure the data quickly. But what gives it the real credibility is the pattern recognition and the framework that I have developed over the years of having sit in these rooms and watch over 150 plus deals. So AI speeds it up, but it isn't the final judgment. Until AI has sit in a credit committee room, then yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get it. So, but you are using some machine learning though, right? To identify those patterns and things, right?
Yes, to bring
Okay.
it together quickly. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So I would say that, right? So the one, you had a great pitch. The one thing I was looking for is just like a blaringly obvious market differentiator, unique value proposition, right? Like this is why this is new, different, better than anything else out there, right? Now, I'm not saying AI, machine learning, or some technology, has to be part of that, but it could be, right? There's many different full suite, real estate, investment analysis, reporting companies, right? There's other companies out there. So I was kind of looking for something that like really sets you apart. The one other thing that I'll say too is I would lean more towards being polite than saying what you want at the end, right? So instead of saying, if you know somebody that meets this criteria, or if you know someone like this, we want, or, we want an introduction. You want to always be kind of polite, right? Because this could be the first impression of you, right? And your business. So, I would just suggest leaning towards like, we'd love to be introduced to anyone in your network that meets this criteria or this type of person, right? A broker, real estate agent, REIT, etc. Right? But overall, it was a good pitch. I think, over time you'll hone what that value proposition is so that it is like very clear and obvious. But overall, really good job.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Any other feedback from our mentors before we move on? All right. So Goodman, thank you so much. I'll remove the spotlight. Andre, are you prepared to pitch? Will you be able to come on camera?
Yeah, I can. I'm still in some sports gear, but
That's okay.
hopefully,
That's
hopefully
okay.
you're
This is
ready,
this
but-
is we're in our family room here, right? So you're amongst family and
Right.
friends, and it's a practice pitch, so it's okay. Let
Right,
me
you'll
let me
see
just
me?
spotlight you one second. All right, Andre, you got the floor. 60 seconds, buddy.
All right, so hi everyone, Andre Percival. I'm the founder of GHG Pro, which really is a web-based greenhouse gas emissions tracking platform. And what it really does is assist not just companies, industrial operators, ESG teams, environmental consultants, help track their journey to basically net zero. It's really important in the fact of achieving action against climate change, and I think that's something that impacts every one of us with droughts, floods, changing hot summers, cold winters, and I think that it's something that I'm passionate about as well, as I spent a lot of time, in my career working in the oil and gas industry, and it's how I feel that I really want to be able to give back to the world after making probably a negative contribution, and now I feel I want to make a positive contribution. Why this product? I'd probably say that it's really user friendly, it's cheap, and it's such a great tool. So if you really want to empower your business with a sort of AI driven solution and achieve the journey towards net zero, this tool is ready for you.
Thank you, Andre. All right, open up the floor. Sean, I see you're already unmuted.
Yeah, that was great, Andre. What I want to see, and again, I get it. This is the very beginning of the accelerator. So one thing, just to set expectations. I am a tough scorer, right? So you really have to work to get a 4 or 5 from me, right? And this is early, and like Raul said, we are here to help. We are here to support. So any feedback is positive to help you, right? So I am a tough grader, right? And I will tell you how it is, but that's what you need when you're building a business, especially if you're a first-time founder. So just, that preface, that caveat. Andre, I want to see you much more confident and authoritative. It sounded like you were having like a friendly conversation, and the reason it's great is because it's cheap and it's cool and I really like it, and I want to give back, right? But, you want to pitch with a certain confidence and authority, right? Like you are stating why your platform, can help companies reduce, carbon footprint and, greenhouse gases and things like that. So, you want to sound like the authoritative source, right? I liked all the things you included. I think you can just kind of polish it a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you were kind of like freestyling it or you had bullet points.
A bit of both. Bit of both.
Nice. Yeah. I like to see that, right? So what mentors don't want to see is you like, and it's great product and people will buy it and it has this feature. We don't want to see you like reading right from the screen, right? And that's fine. Like you'll have to do that, especially in these early pitches, right? The beginning of the accelerator. But like I said before, practice, 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 right? There's AI tools you can practice too. You can create a synthetic virtual investor that will ask you, poignant and, critical questions. Like I can show you guys how to do that further in the cohort, but practice in front of a mirror, practice in front of your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, 12-year-old, right? The more you practice your pitch, the better you get at it, right? And it's fine now if you're reading some of it from a Word document or you have bullet points, but what we want to see is your full personality on stage, you being animated. Because I'll tell you right now, if you're not excited about your product, platform, or service, nobody else is going to be, right? So when you deliver your pitch, make sure you're exuding the passion, the excitement, the energy that you feel as a founder building this special thing, right? And not to say you didn't, you did. It's clear that you're passionate about this and it's clear why you're doing that. I would just try to recommend kind of tightening it up a little bit and just polishing it, so that you sound more, I know the confidence is there. It's just a matter of, putting the right words together. So sorry for the long-winded, feedback, but I thought it was really good and I want to point out those things.
Thank you, Sean. Maria?
Yeah, just to add to what Sean said, I think you have to kind of couch what you're talking about within things that are credible, whether that be data points, the passion, why you're doing it in the Caribbean versus doing it anywhere else. These are things that really bring forth something very unique about why you're doing it, and also gives you the credibility if you can couch it in real numbers. So I would suggest that you think about that, especially a solution like the one you're talking about, because there is a lot of friction and a lot of activity around these types of solutions. So if you've got really something unique that you can bring forth, I think that would be fantastic and really lend that credibility to what you're talking about. Make sense?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it does a lot. Hopefully, there's a lot of investment as well, but definitely things like small island developing states and so on in the Caribbean has, a lot of magnitude. So there's some good
Yeah,
points.
and that's a really important point, because if you're solving around a problem that is in your geography and that you're intimately, acquainted with, that lends a lot more credibility to your story versus this is something everybody needs. It's really important versus I created this, this is a solution for our islands because this X, and Y is so important and putting it in that context.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Maria. Any other mentors want to give some feedback before we move on?
Yeah, if everything that Sean and Maria offered to you is true, I agree with. You'll get there as you practice. You'll exude that confidence as you choose all the right words. I would just offer that you might also consider the order in which you offer those words, because you led with web-based greenhouse gas tracking, which I don't think is wrong, and I think it's what you chose. In my own experience, sometimes I try to lead with a big problem or a big offering because it's the first thing that gets someone's attention. Their eyes go wide. Oh my God, $1 billion, or oh my God, greenhouse gases, whether we all agree about climate change or not. I'm not saying that I'm denying, but if we're all in agreement about that, then we know that there's this big problem. But you'll decide at what time during your 30 seconds do you want the audience's eyes to go really wide? Are they needing to be wowed from the onset of your pitch, and then you decide to crescendo upwards towards something more important that you're saying? The intonation of everything and the order in which you say them is just really important. So to add on to what my peers said, you'll just craft that carefully as you get better and better through the course. And I look forward to hearing how much better it gets through the end of our program.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. All right. Davia, are you ready? I see your camera is on. All right, let me add you to the spotlight. 1 second. All right, Davia, you got the floor. 60 seconds.
What if career guidance stopped asking students who they think they are and started observing how they actually think, decide, and solve problems? Career Flow is an AI-assisted career discovery platform designed for students with multiple interests who struggle with career indecision and overwhelm. As an educator with a psychology background for a decade, I kept seeing students choose subjects and careers based on pressure, prestige, confusion, rather than self-awareness. Most career tools rely on static questionnaires, but Career Flow takes a more interactive approach. Students complete gamified real-world challenges that reveal how they naturally think, solve problems, collaborate, cope under pressure, and respond to structure versus freedom. The platform also gives guidance counselors deeper insights into student work styles, motivation patterns, and career alignment, especially in emerging markets where guidance resources are limited. Career Flow is transforming career discovery from static quizzes into interactive experiences that help students move from confusion to conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Davia. Very nice. And I'm happy that you found a way to be on camera. So kudos for that. All right, I open up the floor.
Davia, I really like the way you talk. Something about the way you're intonating through the words. It just made me feel warm, and I wanted to listen. And every next word that you shared made me feel that inspiration. Remember when I talked about vision? I really felt like I was connecting with you and what you're trying to do for people. What I thought was maybe missing was who those people are. I don't know how big the market is, or you said students, but maybe these are students of a certain age or demographic or background. Everyone can use career coaching, let it be known. Leadership, mentors, students, young people, old people, everyone's lost a little bit in their journey. So maybe there's a specific set of people that you like. Some key words that I also picked up on that you said as I was just enamored with how you were talking, was that you're gamifying the challenges through your platform. So I think you were choosing a lot of the words that allow us to know how you're distinguishing yourself from anybody here who might call themselves a consultant or a coach. So I really liked what you had to say. I think that you'll iteratively improve a few talking points. And remember, just because I give you these suggestions today doesn't mean that they'll forever be incorporated into your pitch for any given audience. I think you will learn how to navigate those things as long as you're conscious of some of these general suggestions that I'm giving you. And I'm really excited to see how this develops with you as we work together in this program.
Thank you. And what you've noted, I put it in my homework that I'm still trying to figure out who's the best audience. So I hope to speak with you and 2 others here tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you,
Hi,
Michael.
Divya. Just to add to what Michael said, I think you should mention as well your niche target markets with the students as well. Are they ending their graduation? So maybe they're looking for the right career. So it'd be good to know which is the niche market as well.
Yes. Thank you, Eliza.
You're welcome, Divya.
Thank you, Eliza. Maria, I saw you had your hand up as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something very similar to what Eliza said. It's really to have a very highly defined ICP or ideal customer, who really is this group that you're going to be going after, who will benefit the most, what pain are you solving? And what I always say to founders is, how are you making this a must-have versus a nice to have? What is that one compelling piece that it makes it absolutely indispensable to your audience? When you figure that out, you're halfway there. But I love what you're working on. It's really exciting. I love education and ed tech projects. So congratulations on getting started on it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Maria. Any other feedback from our mentors before we move on?
Yeah, I just
Sure.
wanted to add something as well. So, I'll say, what as Maria said, and on top of it, Davia, what I would suggest is, you really, because I think you said you have a psychology background and your experience. I would really think, you're better to start with your experience, and through that you found this problem. Because you see, where I will be really connect with you is I'm not interested in your product. And there are millions of products available. But where I will be connect with you is the problem. So I would say you start with the problem, and I think you have a nice story as well with your experience and your background. So you start with that and tell the problem and get us hooked with what you're going to say, and then introduce your product. So that's the best way to put it. But overall, I really like the way you present. It's more like, I think you have a kind of a educational background. I mean like teaching background probably, because I feel like, yeah, I wanted to listen to you. But as I told you, get it better with that, kind of reordering it. And also in the startups, really, at the early stage, it's very important. We're going to be pick up a very niche market as well. I know our products can solve maybe the entire world's problem, but it's always better to start with one particular group, which will be much easier for us to validate our idea as well. So therefore, that is very important. So find who's the customer that you are going to serve now, right? And then always start with your problem. But it's nice. Good luck.
Thank you, Ainharan. Sean, closing thoughts?
Yes, I'll be brief. So when I was talking about passion and energy and exuding that, you did exactly that, Davia. You sounded like you were genuinely excited about what you're building, right? And that's exactly what I look for in any founder, right? Because if you're sitting there monotone, you don't seem very excited, and I get it. Some people have bad days or they miss the train or whatever, but you have to summon all of that energy and exude it in your pitches, right? Because you want the person listening to be excited too, right? So fantastic job there. And I won't reiterate what all the other mentors said, but I was looking for like a very clear target audience. I didn't know if it was like high school students looking to like figure out what career they want, college students, or like graduate students, or something in between. So I would be more clear on that. Also, this is a very passionate area for myself. I worked very closely with Startup Abuja in Nigeria, and edutech companies and platforms are exploding in Nigeria. And so I would love to, chat with you in office hours or down the road, and see if there's some, either people I can connect you with or some insights I can offer you. Also very deep into extended reality. I'm a beta tester for Meta, Google, and Snapchat, so I get their smart glasses. But would love to see what the AR, VR immersive practice simulations look like, and see if I can offer some, insight or advice in that realm as well. But overall, really good job, Davia.
I love how we're already pushing beyond just vision and mission and getting into business development. Loving it, Sean. Loving it. All right. So we have about 10 minutes left, and I still have two founders to go. So, Davia, thank you. I'm going to remove you as a spotlight. Franz, are you able to present? Let me know. If not, we can push you to next week.
Hello, do you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, you just went back on mute, Franz.
Do you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Oh, good.
All right, you got the floor, Franz. You got 1 minute.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. And I want to go straight. According to my research, every company.
We lost you there again, Franz. Franz, I think what we'll do is we'll postpone your pitch to next week. By then, hopefully, I would have arranged that co-working space for you so that you'll be a lot more comfortable and better connected. Because I don't want to do you any injustice this evening. Okay, Franz, hopefully you heard what I said, but I'll Adan, if you could just drop that in the chat in case he missed it.
Sure.
Emmanuel, you're up next, buddy. Even though you had a
Yeah.
practice run before, but all right. So you got the floor. You got a minute. Let's
All right,
go.
great. Okay, so Turpin is developing a demand intelligence layer for group travel to help independent tour guides and experience creators across the Dominican Republic solve the problem of losing 20 to 30% of the revenue to hotel concierge and OTAs, and that's if they even get assigned with them, while remaining invisible to the millions of tourists that in my country get to visit each year. With a platform that we're building that captures group travel intent during collaborative itinerary planning, the surface live demand to local providers as bookable inventory at 15% commission, which is 5 to 10% less than the standard industry, and replaces the chaos of WhatsApp coordination with one unified ecosystem without any paperwork required. And we only get paid if the locals get paid, basically.
Thank you, Emmanuel. I'll open up the floor. Feel free to unmute, mentors.
Hi, it's Maria. Great idea. I love this, if I think I understand it correctly. And I think the most valuable thing you said was at the very end. Like, this eliminates crazy WhatsApp coordination, crazy paper, spreadsheets, and all the crazy stuff that happens when you have a group and a group travel. And I think that's really the value. that I think you bring to the table, that your platform brings to the table. And so I'd like to see that punctuated much more at the very beginning, because that's really the problem you're solving. The chaos that everybody has experienced when traveling with a big family or a group of friends to a bachelorette party, to a destination wedding, all that stuff that becomes such a headache for everyday travelers, right? Most people aren't doing concierge travel, but this kind of helps you have that experience. So I would like to see that punctuated much more at the beginning,
Okay.
because that's the value right up front. Hope that makes sense. And I love
Yeah.
that what you're building. I think that's exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Sean, I see you unmuted.
Yeah. Just to kind of build on what Maria said, I think, mitigating that chaos or eliminating that chaos is definitely something you want to lead with. Also, I was listening for what I thought you were going to say, because I operate with some clients in the hospitality world, is, you have a fully vetted, directory of, tour guides, river guides, water sports, and that's part of your value add, right? So, you're cheaper, you're working with the locals, but like what I was listening for is like you're working with all these companies to make someone's group travel easier, simplified. But, part of that for me, and I know companies who do this, is part of their bread and butter is they have a thoroughly vetted vendor database internal to their platform that you get access to, right? So I bring that up because maybe you've thought of that, maybe you haven't. It's not rocket science to build something like that. But what you can do is you can attract people just for that, right? So think of it like the Angie's List for adventurous group travelers, right? So like you want to go cave diving, but you don't want to die in a cave diving, right? So we've selected like the top tier technical cave divers, guides, etc. I was looking for something like, I like your idea. I think it sounds awesome, but I was looking for like a little something extra special sauce in there. And what came to mind as you were talking is maybe he could use like a pre-vetted, database or directory of vendors, personally. I can vouch for, Mike or Pablo or Juan, like they've been in the business, doing this forever, right? Because that for me, as someone who loves to travel and rarely travels alone, that would be a huge value add and selling point for me. Like, oh, I can just come to, Emmanuel's platform instead of going to 20 different websites, these travel aggregators and all that stuff, which is chaos in itself. So this whole, minimizing chaos, that idea came to me. But great job. I liked it.
Thank you.
Maria and Sean have some really good points here. I think you convey what you want to do, and maybe a few buzzwords or the analogy would help to spotlight and give some reference points for your audience so that they can quickly reach your value. Now, I want to talk about something that I felt was underlying in what you said and undersold. It's that market share that you're trying to capture is ultimately value that's returned to your own community. Because you're doing this to the benefit of travelers, sure, people are going to want to use your service because you have the black book and you have the relationships and you can certify any service locally. But then the value which is retained is something that you're doing for your peers, your countrymen, your community. And I think when you try to sell that internally and build those alliances that you're advocating for, or they're ultimately driving people to your service and technology, let it be known that that's a huge component of your business. You yourself are becoming a brand. I don't think that you said that. I picked up on it, but I also think that you should highlight that because when you talk to us, sure, we're trying to figure out the first part of the equation. But when you talk to people and you build those relationships locally, let it be known. I think you need to highlight that, and the narrative will strip to, hey guys, everyone should get on board with me because we're ultimately going to make this better for us and make more money collective. But I think your pitch was good. I think working together and through this program, you'll get better and you'll know which points to highlight for which audiences. So I'm excited to grow through this together.
Thank you, Michael. Maria, I see your
Yeah,
hand is
just
up.
one last thing I wanted to add was there's another point that is underlying, and that is to jump on Michael's point that you're doing this in your community. It's also very authentic, meaning you're not going, your people aren't going through some big brokerage company. You people, you're the boots on the ground. You really know your territory, you know your geography, you know your vendors. You can make the best recommendations. It's not some BS, who paid more into the booking service, like bookings.com or, Kayak or any of those big, any of those big platforms. So I think that leaning in more into the authenticity of you're doing it in your home territory, in your geography, also would be to your benefit to really, really talk a little, lean into that a little bit more.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Any other feedback for Emmanuel? If not, we'll be wrapping up soon. All right. So thank you all. It was a great session. 2 hours flew by. We're on the dot, 8 p.m. AST. I want to thank Michael and Sean for fabulous presentations this evening, and to all our other mentors for attending. Ainharan, Maria, Eliza, we appreciate you. To my fantastic team, none of which I can't do this without, right? Nikki and Adana, can't thank you both enough. And of course, to all our founders, thank you for showing up. Thank you for putting in the work. This is only week 1, so we have a lot more work to do. Book your office hours, submit your sprint deliverables, and don't let it pile up, because you don't want to get to the point where you're 2-3 weeks in and still trying to catch up with week 1. And for all those who did not pitch this evening, just know that I'm scheduling the hot seats on a weekly basis. So for those who didn't get a pitch, you'll have an opportunity next week and the week after. We're going to be continuously pitching. So have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming out, and see you next week, Wednesday. Oh, and by the way, tomorrow we have our public event. Adana would have shared it in the chat. We're focusing on AI governance and cybersecurity. So if you're available, feel free to join us for that conversation as well. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys. Great job, everyone.
Bye, everyone.